Today I'm going to show you guys how to add atmosphere, color, and mood to a photo in Photoshop. Hey guys, welcome to Phlearn. My name is Aaron Nace. Find me on Twitter at AKNacer. We got a cool episode for you today. I'm going to be taking a great image by Sophie Mac. We're going to be messing with it quite a bit. We're going to make it darker. We're going to add some color. We're going to show you guys how to bring some original skin tone back after you've done an edit. And we're going to make this look like a dark, moody shot, something you might see in like Vogue or W, something like that. So let's get into it. We got a lot to do. It's going to be awesome. Here's our image, and this is by Sophie Mac. You can tell because there is a cool watermark. And normally I don't like watermarks, but I actually really like that down there. It looks pretty cool, and it kind of fits with the image, fits with the whole style of everything. So good job. That's awesome. What we're going to do is quite a bit of work on this to make it look a little bit more moody. It's a very light image, and I like it a lot, but I want to do some things to make it a little bit like darker and more moody. So the first thing I'm going to do, we're going to add some color, and we're going to do this in a really cool way. I'm going to grab an adjustment layer, and now we're going to go up to hue/saturation. Hue saturation. I'm going to click on this Colorize button. Now normally with an image like this you kind of want to stay away from Colorize because it's just going to make everything the same color. But I think you're going to like what we're going to do here. So I'm going to change it to like this nice teal. We're going to bring down the lightness and maybe play around with our saturation as well. There we go. That's looking pretty good. It's an adjustment layer so you can change this at any time. Don't worry about it. Now the thing we're going to do to make this actually like blend in with everything and look good is we're going to take this out of our highlights. So we're going to put this color into our shadows, but we're going to take it out of our highlights. And to do that, you can do it in many different ways. The easiest way is just double click right over here outside of your layer. There we go. And I'm going to load this right here where it says underlying layer and this layer. This is called blend diff. We're going to hold Alt or Option, and I'm going to go from the right side to the left side. So Alt or Option, click that little slider, and then just drag this one from the right all the way to the left. There we go. And then you can continue to take this one over there if you want to as well. Well, let's go somewhere right about there. So what this is going to do is it's going to color those shadows, but kind of like leave the highlights in place. If you want to leave even more of the highlights, just drag this a little bit farther over. So now that we have it actually like looking, you know, with those settings we want, we're going to double click back on here, and we can change our lightness, we can change our saturation, we can change our hue, we can do all types of different things. There we go. That's a nice looking hue there. Very cool. Now if I want to use my layer mask, I can do this too. We can just click on the layer mask here, and in this case I think I'm going to brush away this layer of visibility from this heart here. And the reason is the colors kind of contrast decently well with each other. We've got like a bluish green and then our red heart here. And I just kind of wanted this to stand out. I thought it looked kind of cool standing out there a little bit. So that's why we're just zooming in and using our layer mask to make this not visible here. Now we're going to go a bit more dramatic with this photo. This is just the start, guys. In just a second we're going to darken up quite a bit of the areas of the photo, making it more dramatic, but we're going to use a layer mask to make sure that it only paints. So I'm using my brush tool here and just kind of painting around. I'm going to hold down, if I need to make my brush a little larger, hold down Control and Option, and then click and drag to the left and the right. That's going to make your brush larger and smaller. If you guys are on a PC, it should be Control, Alt, and right click on a PC. There we go. It's a quick way to make your brush either larger or smaller. And you don't have to be super accurate with this. I'm just trying to do a decent job. There we go. So now we've got our color, but it's kind of like leaving our heart alone. Very cool. You know what? I'm going to grab a soft brush, just a really soft brush, and with a flow of about 10%, I'm going to paint this back white just on the bottom there, just to bring some of that color back. So now my layer mask looks like this. I painted it invisible where the heart is, but then I painted it back just a little bit more, so it looks a little bit more like it actually is in the scene, and it fits. All right, the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to grab a curves adjustment layer, and we're just going to make things quite a bit darker. So again, curves, I'm going to drag this down right to about there, and that looks pretty good. And again, we're going to double click on this, and I'm going to hold Alt or Option and tell this to basically not be visible where the underlying layer is lighter. Now you can bring this below your layer with the hue saturation. You can see what the effect of the layers have. I think below it looks quite a bit better. So just remember, like where your layers actually are placed in your image will dictate quite a bit about how they interact with each other. So if something's not looking exactly right, try changing your layer order around, and it might help out a little bit. All right, looking good. Now what I'm doing is using my layer mask to go ahead and just define some of these areas where, I'm like, well, there should be a little bit of detail here, especially where that heart is and things like that. I don't mind it being so dark in some areas, but a lot of these areas really should have some detail. So we're just using our layer mask to kind of define these. You want to kind of be just really random with this. You don't want to be like so precise with it, because it'll just look a little bit better if it's just a little bit more random. There we go. That's looking pretty good there. Maybe make it a little bit darker where her leg is there. All right, there we go. So just making it quite a bit darker. Now, there are a lot of other things we can do with like color toning and things like that. I'm gonna grab a levels adjustment layer. There we go. We're gonna go up to levels, and then we're gonna try to like bring some color into like the shadows and into the highlights. We're gonna like do a little bit of a clipping work with those. So we're gonna change our RGB. We're gonna go down to our green channel. I'm gonna pull this in from the left to the right just a little bit. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the blue channel. There we go. Okay, what this is doing is basically like, instead of the darkest point being black, it's making our dark point this like teal color. And I'm just gonna lower the opacity so it's not so visible. But basically it just takes you away from having blacks in your image where you might want these like interesting teals. All right, and that's looking really, really good. So whenever you do something like this, you're gonna be messing up skin tone. Like the skin tone, her skin tone obviously doesn't look 100% natural. Now, I don't really mind it that much in this image because I kind of like the way that her skin goes to like those deep teal colors. But if you do want to bring the original skin tone back, all you have to do is duplicate your background layer. So I'm going to duplicate my background layer, Command J. We're going to hit Command close bracket a couple times. It's going to bring that to the top. We're going to put a layer mask on that and hit Command I. And now, just my original layer, this is like a no-brainer, but most people don't think of doing this. You just paint back the skin from the original layer. There we go. And you're back to the original good skin tone that you started with. All right, and you can choose how much or how little you'd like this to actually be visible on the final image. If you want like 100% correct skin tone and everything like that on the final, then I would just paint this back pretty well and leave it at 100%. In this case, I don't feel that we want this to be 100% visible. So when I finish up my layer mask, I'm actually going to lower the opacity of this, and that's going to bring some of it back. So that's the completely original skin tone, which doesn't look bad here. It looks just like the original skin tone did. There we go. It doesn't look bad, but what I think I want to do is just kind of like bring it back just a little bit. So what we're going to do is just lower the opacity just a bit until we find a nice medium between the two. So there we see she doesn't look as sickly. We've got some of her original skin tone back, and but she still has the influences from the other colors in this image. So last thing we're going to do, maybe we'll just grab a curves adjustment layer and pull this way down. Hit Command I on that, and I'm going to just grab a marquee. There we go, right around here, and then hit Command I on that. So we're just doing a little bit of a vignette. Actually, that's a heck of a lot of a vignette there. There we go, something like that. And remember, it's going to depend on the order. So I'm going to drop this down. I'm going to hit Command close bracket a couple times and see what this does to my image. And bringing it down there looks really good. So we're just going to lower the opacity. And if you want to move this, we basically created a gradient there in the center. So this layer is not really visible in the center, more visible on the outsides. You can still hit Control or Command T and stretch this out in any way. You can even rotate it and things like that. So don't feel like you're stuck with it. You can do anything that you want, and this is just going to make it a little bit more visible towards the edges. All right, and we still have our skin tone, which is right on the very top, making our layer, making our skin tone back good. So we're going to hit Command G to group those together. There's the before and the after. Let's just zoom in so you guys can see. Really pretty simple. We just colorized the background. We made sure we kept that visible in our darks. We darkened all those light tones down, and then we brought the original skin tone back to the image, so it still has that like, the good skin tone in there, but it definitely has that like, Vogue or whatever feel to it that you wanna talk about. All right, we're gonna go to levels once more. Let's just see. I'll pull the blue channel in. We'll just pull this in and add some like maybe a little bit of yellows to our highlights. There we go. All right, just to give it a little bit more with that nice toning. All right, and then we are done, guys. That's really quick and really easy. You guys can do this with any image that you have, especially if you have something with a lot of light color in it. It's going to work really, really well because the person's going to have, you know, their exposure is going to be similar to whatever the exposure is, everything around them. If you bring that exposure down, way, way down, then the person's really going to stand out from that. So really cool. I can't wait to see your images and your edits. Leave them in a comment right down below. Thanks so much for watching Phlearn, guys. Simple, cool episode, but it's going to apply to many, many of your images. I will Phlearn you later. I'm going to Phlearn you later. You're just going to get Phlearned later. Later on, you're not going to expect it. I'm going to come to your house, and I'm going to Phlearn the heck out of you. You just have no choice in the matter. For more information on this episode, go to Phlearn.com. While you're there, be sure to check out our pro tutorials. These are the most in-depth Photoshop tutorials available on the internet. If you want one for free, just sign up for our newsletter following the link right down below and it'll be delivered to you instantly. We also feature exclusive interviews, written contents, inspiration from people like you, as well as professional photographers, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.